Hello and namaste, my beautiful friends. I am Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. Welcome to your planetary energy forecast for the week of October the 13th, 2025. Now, this is a week with some very packed astrology, some very precise alignments, both beneficial and difficult. We are definitely entering an accelerated time range over these next couple months. Now, one of the primary things to really think about as we enter the week is that Pluto will station direct on Monday, quite late in the day, East Coast time, 10:54 p.m. Please adjust for your time zone so it may be indeed actually happening for you on the 14th. But when the outer planets station, they cause quite the reverberation in the sky. They try to deliver their message through symbolism and events that helps us to see where the changes need to be made. Now, it's going to be stationing direct, which means it's beginning to move forward. And those of you who have been with me for a while, you'll remember that the idea of retrograde is the third time's a charm effect. So when it comes across it the first time, that's the first time. And then it's going to back over it. That's the second time. But then when it stations direct, it's getting ready to do the third time. So these are the final lessons being delivered. Now, if adaptations, changes have been made in the life in order to support the new energy, you're going to be just fine. You probably won't notice huge changes or adjustments. But if you have been ignoring the promptings, ignoring the symbols, ignoring what you know must be done, even though it's hard, because nothing with Pluto is easy, then dramatic events force and require you to make the changes that are needed. Pluto, as everyone knows, is the planet of the underworld. It's the masses. It's the dark. It's the compost. It breaks things down for them to be reformed. And so we'll get a message sometime in that time period. Now, it could be the 13th, I would imagine more the 14th, we're going to see how Pluto is reverberating out in the world. And remember that Pluto is in harmonious flow with the other two outer planets, Uranus and Neptune. Now, as that Pluto stations direct, we've also got on the 13th Venus finishing up her time in Virgo. She's very happy to get out of that sign and move into Libra, where she feels more at home. This will immediately bring her into an argument, tug of war, opposition is what we call it in astrology, with the planet Neptune. Now, Neptune is moving backwards, but it is still, at least for now, in the sign of Aries. And so as soon as she moves into Libra, immediately Neptune is across the sky. This will bring up a lot of ideas related to partnerships and authenticity, whether things are real or true. And there's definitely some other Mercury, Mars in Scorpio energy the rest of the week, which will also bring up this theme of truth and what is real. There's a lot of power right now in the forces that relate to manipulation or delusion. It's why it's so easy for many people to pull the wool over their eyes or to pull the covers up and try to pretend things aren't happening that are happening. And so the balance of power is definitely going to shift, especially as we get into next year, towards being independent, being truthful, being real, and much stronger ethos of independence. But we still have to wrap up some of these other aspects first. Now, with that Venus moving into an air sign, that means that she steps into the harmonious flow between Pluto, which is in Aquarius, and Uranus, which is in Gemini. And this is going to create what we call a grand trine. It's a grand air trine, so it's going to accelerate the energy of air, of conversations, of thoughts. This could also accelerate weather-related events that involve air, so that could be tornadoes and things like that. But really stay attuned. And if you know your chart, look where early Libra, early Aquarius, and early Gemini are. And there's a magical flow here of synchronicity and potential luck. Now, even though it is in that lovely harmonious flow, it does also attach to the minor grand trine with the outer planets, which means it creates that kite formation. It still keeps that kite formation that I spoke of over these last couple weeks. And this kite formation can often bring large-scale, difficult events that take a a major role in the understanding of what's happening collectively, and accelerates change. As the saying goes, crises accelerate change. So that's also another reason to just be a little bit more meticulous with your energy, meticulous with your time, keeping yourself cleansed of difficult thought forms, really maintaining a higher vibration so that you can be resonant with the better, the easier, the more calm types of people, events, and places. Okay? All right. Now, we then have the sun, which is already in Libra, right? Venus joins the sun in that sign, but the sun is moving towards the end of the sign, and it is going to come into a difficult angle with Jupiter. Now, typically, any contact with Jupiter still sends a little good Jupiter juice your way, but it's also going to be standing across the sky from Chiron, the part of us that feels damaged or wounded. This creates what we call in astrology a T-square, and so we have Jupiter basically dueling with both the sun and with Chiron. So particularly Leo's, sun-ruled sign, definitely challenging. Libra's suns, this may be challenging. Cancer folks, very challenging. And of course, Aries people are getting ready to become next level warriors over the next 2 years. So you've had Chiron in your sign forever. If you've ever seen the orbit of Chiron, it spends the most time in the sign of Aries. So it's very, very challenging, okay? But so I would say that this is really giving you opportunities to become more capable on your own, more discerning in your partnerships, and also more discerning about what you will take on. Remember, with Jupiter being in Cancer, people are a little extra on the family stuff, a little extra on this, circle the wagons, my people, whether it's like nationality-wise or country-wise or community-wise. There's a little bit more of that. So again, the sun in Libra, wants everyone to get along, and that Jupiter in Cancer might be a little bit more like, well, me and mine, okay? So watch that as we move through the week. Now, Mercury is in Scorpio, as is Mars, and Mercury moves much faster. So Mercury is gaining speed, and in fact, they're going to join together and walk for several days next week and stay within the 3-degree range, actually all this week and all next week. This is amplifying a lot of energy in the Scorpio area of your life, and they are flowing nicely with the nodes of fate. So definitely some deep karmic conversations, and again, I think some real deep truth-telling, some revelations. Now, as I mentioned to my members in their readings this month, I'm like, the closer Mercury gets to Mars, the less space there is between I think it, I say it, I do it, right? And wouldn't we all be better off if occasionally we thought it and then didn't say it, or thought it and said it and still didn't do it? But when we think it, say it, and do it, with that quickness, sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes our passions become riled. Mercury in Scorpio, Mars in Scorpio, it's a more dark energy. It's a more skeptical energy. It is sometimes retaliatory. It can be very vicious in its nature. And so we must be really careful with this, especially with the connections with the nodes. Now, the nodes are in a 19-year cycle. You can look at that 19-year-long cycle to kind of see the similar themes in the life. But know wherever the area of Scorpio is in your life, you want to make sure you think it and then take a pause before you do or say something regarding, okay? Making sure that you put it through the filters of your consciousness, make sure it's something, because the repercussions could be more dire, especially with a lot of these outer planet energies. I feel like with the accelerated timeline of humanity and the way things are going, there's less margin for rookie mistakes in being a human. All right. Now, we are also going to watch the precise square between the sun and Jupiter. That is going to occur on the 17th. And then we're going to watch that exact meeting on October the 19th of Mercury and Mars at 18 degrees of Scorpio. Now, they'll walk together 18, 19, 20, and that's when Mercury will start to speed ahead. And Mercury actually next week will enter its shadow zone of its retrograde. So if you have some purchases you need to make. If you want to buy a new phone, or you've been looking at getting a new car, wanting to buy a new piece of technology or something, this is the week to get that done. Don't wait till next week. Now, I also have, there's multiple significant moon voids this week, so I'm going to list those for you briefly. On the 14th, 1:05 a.m. Eastern till 6:47 a.m. Eastern. On the 16th, 1:06 a.m. Eastern till 2:06 p.m. Eastern. So basically on the East Coast all morning. Pretty significant. And then again on the 18th at 5:10 p.m. Eastern until the 19th at 12:01 a.m. Eastern. Please do hop on my website. I have maintained a blog there that shows for, I think, 7, 8 different time zones. I've got the moon voids there, and so check that out if you aren't certain about your particular time zone. Now, as far as the Celtic cross, I have done the Celtic cross on this Pluto station direct. And I do want to add one more comment. Next week will be the last edition of the Planetary Energy Forecast. I have been doing this, I think, for 2 years. It might be 3. But I'm really becoming quite busy with my membership. That is where I would like to devote my time and energy. And there are also just so many people on YouTube doing this type of work who do it better than I do. They're more into it. Maybe they like it more. I struggle getting in front of the camera. I struggle with lighting. I struggle with audio. Any of you who have been with me for a while, you know these things. Okay. But I'm going to pivot to more of a focus on my membership and my emails. I'm definitely toying with doing some type of oral forecast and sending it directly to people instead of having it on YouTube. These platforms, all the social media platforms, I mean, they definitely have their place, but they are tricky places to navigate, difficult places and spaces. I think that will accelerate. And so specific, direct relationships with people is where I want to focus. And that's, I think, my gift, and that's what brings me joy. So next week will be the last week, but I appreciate your support. So stick around for the Celtic cross, and I'll see you next week. Hello, namaste, my friends. Let's take a look at the Celtic cross for this week, which is going to be on that Pluto station direct. Now, for some of us, that will happen Monday. For others, it will happen Tuesday, but we'll definitely be watching both of those days for symbolic events that relate to the planet of death and regeneration. Remember, Pluto is a force of destruction. It breaks things down in order for them to be reformed, to be rebuilt, or for something new to take their place. It's like planetary composter. So, what's the message going to be of this Pluto direct? What does the collective need to know about this movement? All right, first card is you, King of Cups. So there's something here about being very empowered, but yet intuitive. To be sensitive and thoughtful, but also take charge. Crossing that is the Seven of Cups. This abundance of opportunities, potentialities. Our energy's feeling very scattered. We're trying to make some good choices. And Pluto is making so many changes, it can sometimes be hard to know how to move forward. Now, in the past, Six of Wands, we've felt that we were empowered, we were visible, seen. There's something about this Pluto. And remember, Pluto is somewhat newly in the sign of Aquarius. It just moved in there. It will be, I guess, 2 years ago in March. So, we're looking at how it's transforming one specific area of our life. But there's something about, in the past, there being a certain amount of recognition or appreciation. Future, Page of Swords. We've got to watch out for worries. We've got to watch out for complaining, for whining, for potentially being immature in the face of challenge. Crowning thoughts, Six of Pentacles. We are putting energy into something. We've kind of committed to something, and so that's taking up a lot of our time. Subconsciously, the Tower. We can feel the ground shaking beneath our feet. Absolutely, you can. Advice, temperance, moderation, balance, not going to extremes, making sure that we are kind of poised in I would say a defensive stance. We have to not overreact. We have to not underreact. Outside influence on the situation, Five of Swords. Well, you've got to watch out that you're not too focused on one profile of success, one way of accomplishing something, so focused on your own unique goals or desires that you are not aware of the damage being caused by your choices or your inaction, I would say as well. What do you want to happen? Five of Pentacles. Well, this is an interesting card for the what you want to happen, because Five of Pentacles is a card of lack. It's a card of being left out, excluded. It's a card that says, I don't feel like I have the money. I don't feel like I'm welcome. And so for this to be what you want, let me just sit with that for just a hot second here. I would say that this is what it's saying is you don't want to feel this way anymore. You're tired of feeling this way. What you want is the opposite of this. You want to feel welcomed. You want to be somewhere where you feel like you've found your people. You want to feel like you're living in a state of abundance. And the outcome will bring that. Nine of Pentacles. So it reminds me of those bumper stickers, you had the power all along, my dear, or something like that. It's one of those things where in the face of difficulty, sometimes we are given responsibilities that we realize that we were shirking or that we were denying. We were blaming other people when really it's up to us to be in charge of our life, to feel like we're the person making the decisions, that we are the person calling the shots. So there's something empowering despite the difficulty. Reader's Fan reminds us, Four of Cups, allow the universe to help us. Queen of Pentacles, keep your eye on the material resources and money. King of Pentacles, and then make wise decisions about them. I'm getting two more cards. Seven of Swords, or else there is risk of loss or theft. Hermit, meditate upon this. So Pluto does tend to bring out underworld characters. It tends to bring out people who, shapeshifters is the word that's being given to me right now. So we have to be alert to these people and how they can confuse us, throw us off our path, throw us off our game. So I would come back to the original card. You need to be very intuitive, but also very empowered. And even as things all sort out with this Pluto direct, at the end of the day, you're going to realize you have a lot of responsibility and you've got to use it. All right, my friends, look like a little bit of a tricky week here, so slow down, take it easy, and I will see you next week for the last episode of the Planetary Energy Forecast. All right, take care.